your source for everything iRacing, including race reviews, driver interviews, opinions, discussions, and much more. Here's your host, Mike Ellis.
Welcome to iRacers Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is the podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Chewy 55, Carlos Fonseca, Brad Miller, Jose Pabon, Kyle Fleischman, Lance Gentles, and special returning guest, Anthony Thickener. Hey guys.
What's going on?
Evening.
Big crowd. Let's start out with Anthony. Hopefully I said your name right. It's kind of hard to roll off the tongue.
It was close enough. I've heard it butchered worse. It's Thitchner. Yeah.
Thitchner.
It was good enough, yeah.
Okay. And you and I have been fast friends on Facebook and seem to get along and like the same topics and stuff. But anyway, I'm glad to have you back. You have I noticed over at the ECR Elite Championship page, and I do follow that over there. You got some big stuff coming up, and so tell us about what's going on.
Well, if you're a NASCAR fan and you just follow the sport of NASCAR itself, you know that the chase has begun, and that's one of the biggest things about racing. All the fastest guys are in, and we're ready to go. Tackle our ultimate goal of getting that championship. So right now, all three series are getting ready to buckle down and hit the chase. You got the Cup Series this week, and then next week starts with the Xfinity and the trucks. So right now, those are the big things going on.
All right, cool. And so your schedule is, as I see here on the screen, was Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays?
Yep, we have every week we run the same tracks that NASCAR runs. So Monday starts the Xfinity Series. That's our fixed series. They race 9 o'clock. And then Tuesday's the Open Cup Series. It's similar to the A Open Series. And that's Tuesdays, 9 p.m. And then the trucks are Wednesday nights, and those are fixed truck series. Now, there is a difference between the trucks and Xfinity, not just the trucks and Xfinity cars, but the weather that we use. Like the truck series is more for rookies and guys up and coming and still learning, because it's the same weather that iRacing uses all year long. And then when you jump to the Xfinity series, we use the real weather, like whatever they run in real life. We record that weather and use it in the fixed setup that iRacing provides. So it provides a bit of a challenge.
And how about those fixed setups this year? That's even more of a challenge than it has been in previous seasons, I bet.
iRacing seems to want to keep everybody busy and just trying to keep learning and keep throwing new setups out there and keep learning how to drive these cars, because they just keep switching up on you. So it's really something for the Open series where you're working on them setups more than anything. But yeah, man, it's tough.
Yeah, Carlos, you've had a lot of frustration this week with the fixed setup, as I recall. Yeah. Right. So how many guys do you have running over there, or you expect to have running? Are you looking for new people as well to try to get signed up here last minute?
Oh, the doors are always open at ECR. You can never have enough guys, because what started out as full fields at the beginning is now down to about 20 guys that show up regularly. Just because some are busy, it's that time of the year in the summer. We usually lose numbers and then they come back. You got some guys who missed the chase, so they lost interest. It happens, but the numbers always seem to dwindle. But you can never have enough guys, so doors are always open, always bringing new people in, and always trying to fill those fields, because 40 cars is the max, and that's pretty much what we try to do.
In my experience, it seems like these leagues lose about half of their drivers over a long season. At least that's what I've experienced. Like an Integrity League, which some of us run on Mondays. What do you say, Lance? We started with like 60 at the beginning, and now we're running down to 30 maybe?
Yeah, it does that every year. Just kind of dwindles down as people realize they're not going to make the chase, and they move on to something else.
Well, Anthony, isn't that part of it? Is the chase kind of resets and lets more people have a chance at the opportunity for the championship instead of, at that point you normally only have a couple guys running for it?
Yeah, I do. I agree. I think that it's important to know that there's, there's two things to chase for. If you're in the chase, and you were behind, you had no shot at winning a championship in the old format. But now everything's reset. 3 races at a time. So that's what your goal is. Just 1 week at a time. Bam, 3 weeks. You get past that part, start over again. And I think that's the excitement that it brings. But I think that we also provide something for the guys that aren't in the chase, because with the bonuses, we give out ECR fund bonuses for guys that stay the highest in points, and with the funds that we use, you're still making payouts in those races, just as if a real driver in real life would be. These real time teams out here, hey, they didn't make the chase, but they still show up every single week just to get out there, have fun, and make pay. It's kind of the same thing.
All right, cool. And Jose Pabon, you're on. You said you ran with Anthony long ago. Was that in this league or what? Okay,
Sounds like he stepped away.
I don't think he's there. It was a different league, but it was pretty much it was so ECR came from console, and a few guys went over to iRacing before I had made the jump. They went over there to test it out, and one of the guys had started a league over there. So because I wasn't on iRacing yet, so he pretty much started it over there, and Jose got to be a part of that. And when I came over and joined, we were pretty much in that league running, and there was a lot of bad apples. Things fell apart because guys had a lot of big attitude issues, and there was really just no control over there leadership wise. The guys were, not there handling things. You can go on, but it's unfortunate. And like you guys said, it's hard to keep people. If you're not working hard at trying to recruit and keep people, it's hard. It's a hard job in itself. So that was probably 2 to 3 years ago. I remember Jose, and I've seen him a few times out there at official racing as well.
It's true, and we bring league people on all the time on the show, and they're all fabulous guys, and they all have great leagues, but there's so many of them to choose from. I mean, there's a lot of, they all seem the same, when you're looking at the websites and stuff, but you guys kind of do some neat stuff that's a little different than others. Can you talk briefly about that, where you have the money part of it, where you get to spend? I forget how that works.
Yeah, so when you come into the league, you have a choice. You could be an owner or a driver. Let's say you come in as a driver. You start with no funds. You're just a driver. You sign to a team, and there's different payouts on the rule book for the series. So let's say you finish in a position that pays 100 grand, and you get paid 50%. So you get 50 grand that race. Let's play the other equation to this. If you're the owner and you have you have a 4-car team, each car has a cost to it. You have to pay an entry cost, 100 grand. So that's 400 grand, right? You're hoping these guys finish in positions good enough to where you make money, because if they get a DNF or finish in bad positions, you could lose money. And if you keep losing money, you could go broke and have to close shop and maybe join another team, So that's just something extra to play with and have fun in it, instead of just guys showing up every week and racing. It's something cool to update and keep it real.
So it almost sounds like fantasy football, but I'm not a big football guy. But is it kind of along those lines? You're kind of like,
yeah, fantasy NASCAR. You got it.
I love it, love it. All right, well, yeah, that's certainly unique, and we've talked, like I said, talked to a lot of leagues, and I haven't never heard of that before until we talked to you guys, and the second time you guys have been on. So, well, yeah, good luck with your chase, and do you have any hardware updates or personal updates that you've done with your rig, or that you want to bring up?
I tell you, you guys probably have better stuff than I have. I'm out there looking at all these pictures of these cool rigs that everybody has and all these triple screens, and I'm just jealous. Just like one day I'm gonna have that. So no, not right now. I have a 32-inch LED screen and a G27 that I use, which I upgraded from the Driving Force GT. So I like it a lot. I seem to do okay with it. I'm comfortable with it. But seeing all those things out there, man, it makes you want to build one. So I think that's next year's project. Got to build a cockpit, get the triple screens, upgrade the computer, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, it's a chore. Once you get into it, it can be a money pit too. All right, well, thanks for coming on, Anthony, and hang out if you can, as long as you can. We're going to go through topics next. Brad, what's up?
Now we've got the Pecan Freeze series. Looks like Mr. Tyler Hudson ripped off a victory. He was followed by Tyler Hurst, Brad Davies, PJ Sturgis, and Jake Sturgis to the top 5. Kenny Humpy was 6th. The points battle closed to within 4 points. Ray Alfala finished 15th, and with PJ finishing 4th, that really, man, this is fighting and scrapping here. 4 points.
Yeah, that 4th is like a win, I think. I mean, can we call it that almost? I mean, all respect to the actual winner from One Up Racing, Tyler Hudson. But boy, we were really hoping for PJ to win, or at least have a good showing over Ray, and that's exactly what happened. And like you said, now 4 points, and I think 3 races left.
Yeah, something like that. But I mean, it's really cool for Tyler to win, because we have raced him in the winter series, and so that's kind of cool for me to know that I've raced with somebody who's won one of these peak races.
Oh, he's had about 3 wins already, but he could never get them. He could never finish it off.
Right.
Getting caught up in crap at Daytona and finally pulled one out.
Yeah, he's had it like a bad luck kind of racing.
Looking at that, even Busa had a nice run.
Right.
Usually
Where
never
did
top
Logan?
10, but
Where did Logan finish?
have no clue.
I think
He
11th.
finished 10th.
Yeah, 10th. Yeah.
10th.
So good run for Logan Clampett.
Yeah, I remember that Daytona race now that you brought it up, because we were watching it and talking on TeamSpeak, and we were like, oh, here he comes. And it's like, oh, doggone it.
Oh, yeah, he was going to get to the lead and probably keep it, but wrecked.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly getting interesting with the championship coming down to the wire here, and PJ and Ray fighting it out. So good luck to both of them. We just had recently both of them on the show. So I guess good luck to both of them. I'm pulling for both of them now, and everybody who's been on our show. We've had a few of these guys now, and they all seem to be running well. All right, we're going to skip Grand Prix racing because they're taking a sabbatical, I think. They start up later in the month, I believe. So let's jump into NIS Chicago, NASCAR iRacing Series.
Don't start with me.
I'll start. I finished on Wednesday P11 after bringing out the first caution, which I always hate being the first caution. I was almost last at one point in the race. I ended up with a good finish. Cameron Key stayed out on the final caution. Someone blinked and actually wrecked several of the inside lane on that final restart. He just drove through them and wrecked out 3 or 4 guys. And I ended up with a nice finish of 11th because of those crazy, final restarts. Thursday, I had a 7th, which was an absolutely great run. There were lots of great luck involved with that, catching cautions at the right time. And then over the weekend, 16th, 15th, 14th, spun off on my own twice out of those 3 times off of turn 2, all by myself. So I could blame anybody for that. Currently in points, 34th in fixed Division 1, 48th in open Division 1. And I got to tell you, last year at this time, I was running much higher in the points overall than I am this year. And I don't really know what the difference is besides there's an increase in competition. I don't think that I've gotten really better or worse, but it seems like it's just more competition.
It could be also that more people are doing it more. I don't see you have your Daytonas and Talladegas where everybody and their brother comes and races, but we're seeing good fields every race. I mean, your daytime things may slack off, but your 9 o'clock races at night are a lot of people.
Yeah, lots of splits. All right, Brad, how did you run this week?
Oh, mixed bag. The Open, I will say Dave Smith gave us it was a good setup. I just kept catching bad luck. Had a guy turned sideways, nosed it into the wall, and I was there to T-bone the crap out of him.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I had nothing. I didn't even have time to hit the brakes. But best finish was an 8th in the fixed and a 13th in the Open. And right now in the Open, I'm 5th in points, 4th in points, something like that. And in the fixed, Division 2, about 30th, 33rd, somewhere there.
Well, keep digging on that Open, those points. I see you had a couple good finishes there. I heard a top 10 at least. So, but you mentioned Dave Smith. Dave, are you there? You provided us a great setup, and I think you're really the star of last week. If I recall, you had a win and a couple other almost wins.
Well, I started out with the fixed on Wednesday afternoon. I was the dominant car throughout most of that race. Well, I can't say I was the dominant car. We all got the same setup. I was the dominant driver there for a while through the fixed race, but I can't remember what happened. But I ended up getting into a mess, and it didn't work out for me, but I wasn't too worried about it. I was there to have fun. For the Wednesday night Open, I got the pole, led the most laps, had the fastest lap of the race, and I won the race. And then I turned around and did the same thing for the Thursday afternoon Open, where I just went out and dominated the whole race. And then Friday night's Open race, I started out with the pole, and then I ended up getting a little too aggressive on the tape, and I came into pit, and I lost a lap coming down on the tape, and it was downhill from there. I put myself in the back, and I got myself back into position. There was at one point I was 2 laps down. I got myself back into a position to where I was back on the lead lap with a late race restart. I put like 65% tape on it, and I was going to go give it all I had, but I ended up getting rear-ended. I got loose, getting down into 3. I had it saved, and as soon as I got the car back under me, somebody chose not to give me an opportunity to get the momentum back on my side and ran me over. But I still had an awesome week. The setup I worked on, I could drive anywheres, and that's one thing I don't understand. I see a lot of people in the forums today that were talking about how there's still no second groove and this and that. Well, I strongly disagree. At Richmond, the first race that we had on the new surface model, I was running the middle line passing guys. Towards the middle part, later end of the runs, I was running the middle to higher side of the corners, and I was passing people at Chicagoland this week.
Yeah, on older tires, you had to come up to the upper lanes.
It was definitely usable.
I was running the high line. My setup, when I started working on it, I was moving around the track, trying to get a feel for what it would do. And that was one of my strong suits in that setup, was I could put the car where nobody else wasn't. If somebody else wanted to run the low line, okay, fine. I'll pass you on the high side. I could go anywhere as I wanted to with the car. And it would start out to where you could run it around the bottom, and it was fast. And then through the second half of the run, I could move up the track, and it was still fast on the high side. I mean, the setup was on rails this week. But I had fun. this
Yeah,
week.
up in
I
two,
truly had
I
fun.
remember late in the run, you could get up real against the wall and get this straight drive off onto the backstretch.
And I'm just going out and doing what I need to do. I mean, I'm 253 points ahead of second place in Division 3 right now. So, I just been trying to put together real good sets here towards the end and just trying to do all I can to make, gain max points, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think on Wednesday, the majority of the team ran your set that you put together. Thank you. And I had no complaints. I ran it the rest of the week, and it was neutral for me. I mean, it was a little loose at times, but that loose is fast, right?
Right, and I think that's one of the reasons why the setup was so good, is because it had a looseness to it, but it wasn't undrivably loose. I mean, you could manage it. It wasn't just drive down in the corner and you were wrecking for the first 20 laps because it was loose. It was manageable.
It was tight
That's
for
a-
me.
That sounds like a good set.
Oh, it was awesome.
It was. That's what was so disappointing about this week. I love to run Chicago because it is multi-groove. You can move all over that track. But,
Yeah.
and to have a good car and to walk away and I can say, well, I got a 13th. I'm like, I've done a whole lot better with a whole lot worse car.
Yeah.
It kind of just feel like I let one slip away there.
Well, I know I should have ran it on Thursday. Or was it Thursday or Friday night? We had a cool sitting, and I went back and just went back on my week since it, freaking sucked. I went back and looked at my runs and did a similar run with my setup and Dave's, and they had similar drop-off, but one got super tight and one didn't, and Dave's was the good one. Mine sucked. Looking back, I wish I would have ran it.
Well, we always need somebody on the team to run something different than everybody else, so we have, some kind of,
I mean, mine was good for short runs.
baseline. But
Got to have a backup plan.
right,
If it didn't work good Wednesday, then, hopefully somebody ran something else that was better.
right.
I used yours
we can
Wednesday.
do something different Friday.
Yours was a good Wednesday. Right, you got tight on me there in a longer run, but you got to push so hard on the split set I'm in. You just can't save tires. You have to go from the start, and I'm going back to everything, talking about the whole top line. The only ones complaining are like 8,000 high rating people. You can run the high side. I've done it, and everyone that in the second split that I was in did it.
Right.
Well, I wouldn't even call it complaining. I mean, maybe it's, constructive criticism on, towards iRacing, but personally, I don't have any complaints yet.
I like it.
One of the things I think is misleading is, that high side is only as good as the setup. If you are not working on your car in the open practices to where it feels good up there, it's not going to race any better up there than it drove in practice. And that's one of the things I focused on this week with the setup, was something that would work good on the bottom, but it also felt good and turned well through the top. I mean, you got to put in your work on the front end to be able to get the results on that high line during a race.
And even without that, the fake set, you can still run up there, but I don't know. I guess it depends on who knows how to run the high line and who doesn't. And it looks like you got it figured out.
So, Carlos, tell us about your week. What was your highlights there?
All right, take a look at any race that Brian Scott's in. There you go. That's my week. Pretty much wrecking every corner.
Dang.
Yeah,
you had a rough time one night, I remember.
That was just me. That was just all my own mistakes. That's all it was.
And just compounding on those. Like, you got a penalty, I remember, and then it led to another penalty, or you got a lap down.
Well, the first thing that happened was I went to pit, and I missed pit road. No, I got to pit road. Damn it, let me redo this. I went down pit road, I missed it. Had to go back on the track. Had to go all the way around again, come back in a second time, and I missed my freaking pit stall by like 10 cars, so I couldn't back up, so I had to keep going. Around again. There's 2 laps gone right there. One more time, get caught speeding. And I think I had a commitment cone violation too, so I had to come back in again, so 4 laps down. Never
Yeah.
got a caution either after that.
That pit road was tough to get on under green after having old tires. I think, Brad, you missed it once too.
Yeah. I had told everybody I was pitting. And just as I started getting ready to slow down and trying to get off the track onto the apron, I had two guys running side by side behind me just bearing down on me, and I was like, I can't do this. They're going to run over me.
I think my problem was I was furious at myself. You know, I was mad because I had no trouble getting to pit road the first time. Or, well, after that first mishap. But, you know, after that, it was just me driving mad. Do what? All right, anyone else having trouble hearing Mike? Uh-oh. We are having technical difficulties. Please stand by. And it looks like we have dropped our TeamSpeak channel, so we're going to have to go ahead and wait here, and we lost a recording as well. So in the meantime, enjoy the smooth sounds of jazz. And no, this is not pornographic. Alright, we're not sure how this is going to get back online. If we don't end up, we're going to have to stop on by next week, or I'll have to solo this on my own. Here on the iRacers Lounge. So in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and I guess, screw it, we're just going to start without them. I don't have all day, so I guess our next topic would be something to do with the new car. So for the ones that are still on Twitch, I guess we'll talk about the new release, which is the Audi. And oh, I was continuing the stream.
Good. All right, we're all back. Almost.
All right, looks like we have everyone. Never mind, I gotta re-record. It stopped recording on me.
Everything disconnected.
Yeah, I saw that. Anyways, for people who were gone, we had a technical difficulty. And we're back.
Okay, so let's move on. Jose, tell us about your race.
Oh, in Chicago. Well, I had a very good week actually. Both with the fix and the open, had pretty good finishes. I ended up the open with the fix last night with a good P6 finish. So in both the open and the fix, I was able to get good finishes. Had my complications in the open a little bit, but at the very end, I did have a good finish.
And how about those rivalries?
Yeah, they quiet down. I mean, the incident that I had with an individual earlier the week kind of was chilled out and cool by Sunday in the evening. I actually raced him again, and he was okay. You know, I guess no harm, no foul.
All right. Well, good finish though with the P6. Kyle, how was your week?
Well, Wednesday I struggled to figure the track out. It was not a good day for me at all. I ran the fixed setup in the afternoon, pulled out a 16th, ran the open on Dave's setup on the evening race on Wednesday and got a 27th. And then I turned around and ran the open again on Friday and really figured Dave's setup out. Man, I was fast. I drove through the field from the back to the front on 3 separate occasions, pitted under green, and caution came out right like 2 laps on fresh tires and ended up trapped a lap down, finished 12th. And last night I ran the fixed race and spun myself twice off of turn 2 throughout the race. And
That's what I did.
Yeah, I think there was about 20 to go when I spun out the second time running in 5th. And so I spun actually in 3 that time. And I actually just took it right down pit road, got fresh tires, and the caution ended up coming out. And for some reason, there was a bug where I was running in 15th, and next thing you know, I'm in 3rd. I was trapped behind the pace car, but I was in 3rd place, so not sure what happened, but then we had two cautions to close out the race and ended up finishing 4th place.
Wow, that's a great run.
Yeah, a lot of luck, but I'll take it. So with last week's results and this week's results, I went from 10th and I regained myself back up to, I believe it's 3rd place in the fixed standings in Division 5 and 4th place in the Open.
Very good. So you're doing well in both of those series, so keep at it.
Yeah, I was in 2nd for most of the year this year. I don't have a chance of catching my points later, but I'll take 2nd as a pretty good result for first season of NIS.
Well, and you got to remember the split that you're in is a real shit show. Pardon my language, but
yeah, I
it is
some major I rating from
It's
Talladega.
amazing how many
Glen.
cautions that you guys have.
Yeah, when I went into Talladega, I was at like a 2300 I rating, and that was just an awful week with my brake pedal going and all that on my sim pedals, and then Watkins Glen coming up without my sim pedals and lost some more I rating. I think I got down to about a 1400 and something. Now I'm back up to a 1750. So we're climbing back up.
Okay. Keep coming. We want to get you out of those splits. It's amazing that you literally have a third more cautions than the split I'm running, it seems like. And we're always done with our race before you're done with yours.
Yeah, it's super frustrating.
All right, Lance Gentles, you took the week off, I believe, right?
No, I came back this week.
Okay.
The string of misery I've been having since Bristol has carried on, and I got pinched into a wreck during the first open race of the week for me on Wednesday. Somebody hit the wall and was spinning around, and there was plenty of room to move down, and the car below me just didn't. So it wasn't
like pinch you into the wreck kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I was on the brakes, all I could do without moving. So I eased it on down and kind of started nudging on the car, and the car wound up hitting the car that was wrecking wound up hitting the wall and bouncing off and right into me and wrecked me and the car below me both. So
that was a big wreck, wasn't it? The one we were both in it.
No, that was the next night during the fixed race, I think.
Oh, that's right. You did run Wednesday, didn't you?
Yep. So it was just it was a deal. I finished 26th, and the next night I got trapped a lap down, a la Kevin Harvick on Sunday. Yeah. And I was a lap down most of the race, and right before the end, I got back on the lead lap and managed to pull out something of a salvage job. Finished 14th.
And we both were moving up there. We had to get everything we could. That was a 14, 15 for us?
I think so, yeah.
All right. And Anthony, did you have any notes about Chicago?
Chicago, I haven't ran official much this year, so I haven't done Chicago yet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy with the new dynamic track 2.0, as they call it, the multiple grooves. It seems to be working for me, so.
I don't know, for Chicago, I think last year was better, but they're trying to improve on it.
Okay, real quick, real NASCAR, Kevin Harvick, he gets trapped a lap down. It was just a bad luck timing thing. It had nothing to do with how he was running or how they called their race. It just had crap luck. And boy, can I relate to that.
I had bad luck this week.
I've been in that position
Yeah, we
more
all
times
have, and I was
than
thinking
I
that
want to
when it
recall.
happened.
If we're talking about bad luck, what about Chase? I mean, poor Chase, just again.
Yeah, when that
Well, you
caution
knew that
came
late
out,
caution was coming.
well, when it did, every Chase Elliott fan went, "Damn it!"
Well, he hadn't won if it didn't come out. We
He
all
did.
knew it.
He did. I don't think Truex would have caught him.
You know, as bright as his future is, I can't feel bad for him because he's going to be on fire at some point.
He is on fire. I mean, that was a great run by him, even though he didn't, the pit crew kind of failed him there at that last stop. I was kind of surprised they all came down for tires. What do you guys think about that? It was like 3 to go.
Yeah, that sucked for Chase, but I think Truex would have gotten to him, but he would not have been able to pass him. And then knock him out. My thoughts.
I mean, if that was an iRacing race and it's 3 to go, nobody's pitting.
No.
Well, I had this happen in a race either last night or yesterday. I don't know if it was A or B or C, but a couple of guys stayed out with a caution with like 4 laps to go. Everybody else pits, and then the guys that came in, they're crying like crazy, and it's like, if they didn't want to pit, you can't cry because they didn't. If they hold their line at the start, I mean, what's it matter? But they scream, "Oh, you're going to wreck us, you're going to wreck us." Turns out they went green and went about 2 laps, and somebody did wreck, but it wasn't them.
Yeah, this series or this service is full of people that want nothing more than to drive your car for you.
Well, there's an etiquette thing, but
My Wednesday fixed race, late in the race before I ended up having my bad luck, I stayed out a couple times because we were getting those quick yellows. I stayed out, and I had like 4 pit stops throughout the whole race. Every other car had at least 7 stops, and I was still able to be out front on old tires, holding my own, leading the race, no problem.
Wait, was that the one you and Kyle were in?
I believe so. I want to say it was.
I was watching it, and you started on pit road, and you moved your way up quickly.
Yeah, well, speaking of starting in the back and moving up quickly, for anybody that watched the race yesterday, or I think it was actually the pre-race, they were talking about Kyle Larson, how he wants to start in the back so he can see how good he really is. I kind of related to that a little bit when they were doing that pre-race show. Only I look at it a little bit differently. I like starting in the back because I don't have as much pressure on myself to stay up front. I don't need to lead the first 50. I don't need to lead the first 100. The only lap that I want to lead is the last one.
Right.
So if I don't got to put all this added pressure on me to lead all these laps, because we're not getting paid bonus points for leading the most laps. So I don't need to lead the most laps. And so I don't put that kind of pressure on me. If that's where I'm supposed to be, I'll make it there.
yeah, you saw Harvick drive through the field yesterday as well. He at the beginning he was coming up through there because he started in the back, I believe.
Well, ask Kyle a little something about driving up through the field.
Yeah. All right,
It
let's
could
move
be
on.
a little hairy.
Topics, Brad. What's the next one?
All right. The other day, iRacing put out a live YouTube broadcast, and it was announced earlier that they had a special treat for us, and it turned out to be the Audi 1990 car, and it is I don't own it, but just looking at the specs, it's probably a little beast. It's all-wheel drive, 700 horsepower, 531 torque, 5-speed gearbox. It's an Audi Quattro. Carlos, you own it. Tell us about it.
Well, going back to what was it? The Audi 90 GTO, which stood for the GTO class in IMSA back in the late 80s, early 90s. Anyways, the car's, like you said, it looked like a beast because it is. It's, I don't know. It's weird to get used to. It has like this whole wide body thing going on, and I don't know, it just looks weird. And
Boxy
what was
looking
that?
car. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's fast, tons of power, all-wheel drive. You can definitely feel it though, because you can just get on the power with no issues. Fun car, I recommend it.
Yeah, and a couple of notes on the forums. People were saying, "Oh, the dashboard has some misspellings on it," but then one of the staff actually posted a picture of the actual car that they laser scanned, and that's the way it is in the original car. One of them is a picture of the tachometer, and they actually have a red piece of tape at the 7,000 mark. There's a piece of duct tape on there as their red needle, so to speak. I thought that was kind of neat. But real old school stuff.
Yeah, they also said that they're going to be running this car for this season. It'll only be an 11-week season, but it will be an official series. So if you're interested, check it out.
So a couple questions for the group. I watched the announcement because they really, use their marketing and amp this thing up. We were expecting something a little bit more substantial, I think, besides just a piece of content. There were over 3,700 people watching the video live when they did the broadcast announcement. And as an oval guy, I kind of felt left out a little, because I'm not going to buy this car. But what did you guys think about the marketing side and of how they pulled this off?
I got a chuckle out of all the comments. The amount of butthurt in there was cancerous.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "Ah."
Yeah, a lot of oval racers and road racers for that matter just feel like every piece of content that comes out should be just for them, and it's kind of sad.
In my opinion, I think if you're an oval guy, your content that you're waiting on is coming. It's been confirmed. Wink, wink.
Dirt confirmed.
Well, my only gripe is the way that it was marketed. It seemed like it was like, across the board, like for iRacing. It wasn't, maybe specific. So, I mean, I was looking forward to that 1 o'clock announcement time, thinking that, there was going to be, something as far as maybe service improvements, or maybe, they were that close to the new UI coming out or something like that. But
Right.
to find out it was just a road car, I mean, I'm a little disappointed. Why hype it up that much for a road car? I mean, I've never seen them hype any of that like that for oval yet. I mean, yeah, dirt's coming, but that was based off an April Fool's joke.
Well, it's a historical car too, and which I think opens the door, for historical oval cars. And we were talking earlier. I was talking to somebody. Hey, what about it was Taylor Burris I was talking about this too, and he said, what if we got some of the NASCAR cars from the 60s or 70s? And wouldn't you love to have that Richard Petty one with the big dovetail, Dodge Charger, look to it?
Well, that's the only thing that iRacing is going to open up with this, is it might create themselves more headaches than good. Because if they're starting to come out with classic content, then that means everybody and their mother is going to be like, oh, well, you need to do this old car, and you're going to have a boatload more requests.
Yeah.
Because they're showing now that they're going back instead of just forwards, that the forums are going to be flooded constantly with, classic car request.
Personally, it makes me feel like I'm playing Dirt to Daytona again.
Nice.
It'd be a novelty to see an old like Plymouth Superbird or something out there on the track for a little bit, but in the end, I think it would get about as much participation as the old 40s Formula One car that they have out there now.
Yeah, that's the other tricky part.
I say skip the 70s altogether. Stick with the 60s or 80s if they want to go back in time.
See, as a racing fan, I enjoyed the film that they had that accompanied it. I love all forms of racing. I love Formula One. I love IndyCar. I love NASCAR. Dirt cars, anything. And the little historical piece they had with the gentleman that used to drive this car, I can't for the life of me remember his name.
Oh, yeah.
I love those little documentaries like that. Those are fascinating to me. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well. I'm the same way. If it's got four wheels and a motor, you got my interest. So yeah, I did enjoy the presentation. I will give it that.
I got into a spirited debate with some guys in a car group after I took my car to the racetrack. They said, well, it's not a race car, so why take it to the racetrack? I said, anything's a race car. If you've got the balls to race it, anything is a race car.
See, can you imagine saying that in the pirate outfit? Imagine a brawl breaking out.
There you go.
If they'd have let me race in the pirate outfit, I would have, by God, done it.
Yeah, the video was really cool. It had the original driver, an interview with him, and they were putting him back in the car so he could run it again, and then showing historical photos of him as a young man when he used to run it. And it's very, like you said, great documentary, really, about that car.
I actually like it. I really don't care. I think they probably overhyped it a little bit, because I was thinking it was something like, we were going to have more of the day to night thing going on now, or, if you started your cup race in the afternoon and it was a full length race, well, it would be late evening when you finished and bring more changes into the track. So that's where I thought they were going when I first heard about it. But, like you said, the video's great. We've got something else to play with. Just go have fun, because the first race was made about 5 minutes after the second car was built. If it runs, go.
Well, the other big announcement that you could have maybe thought it could have been was weather, like rain or something like that, as much as they hyped it.
Right. Yeah, there were a lot of guesses out there. And I got to admit, the Monday night before the announcement, there were a few people on Facebook that actually correctly guessed what the announcement was. I don't remember who those people were, but I did see it in a couple groups. So it wasn't a complete secret. Somebody did leak it at some point that evening before.
Yeah, and then tomorrow's is already leaked as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here shortly. Kyle, what's up next?
Oh, next is they ran a practice thing at Texas with the Porsche.
Yeah, this is just a real racing crossover story that was actually posted on IMSA.com, and these two IMSA drivers talk about how they trained for this Porsche GT3 Cup Challenge, which runs at the Circuit of the Americas, and they basically did their training on iRacing, and they hadn't been to the track, but they were able to work on their learning the track and getting their lap times down and learning where the braking points are and so forth. So another example of real life race car drivers using iRacing as a real tool.
It's pretty neat.
Okay, so next up was on the topics. iRacing announced this week the World Cup of iRacing is less than 6 weeks away for the first time. is going to take on a decidedly Olympic feel as clubs attempt to win medals in one of 5 events, including the overall championship, October 21st to November 12th. So, were you guys going to participate in the World Cup of iRacing? I didn't even know this was still a thing.
What am I
I will
looking
be.
at there in the World Cup endurance? It looks like a vintage race car.
Yeah, it's news to me. What car are they using?
They're using the Gen 6 at Atlanta, and they're using the Corvette at Watkins Glen for the first round, I believe it was.
Yeah, there's several different things here. It says Le Mans GT1, Talladega, Car Tomorrow Gen 5, Nürburgring MX5 Cup. So, yeah, you're going to have to read up on it. It looks pretty complicated just looking at the post on the forum. So, I used to do these, I don't know, 2+ years ago. You know, I'd see them pop up and I would join, but I don't think I've done them recently. I didn't know they were still a deal.
I've never had the chance to get into one because it seems like it pops up last minute. The guy that organizes the club that I'm in, Club New York, he's very active on this World Cup thing. So he's been posting on our New York Facebook page for 2-3 months now, you know, trying to lead up to it, get polls as to who'd be interested in what and whatnot. He actually made a calendar and broke it all down like into real, you know, dumb terms. So it's really easy to understand what's going on, what days.
And you know, the clubs that do that are going to do good. I mean, over here in my club in the West, we don't have anything like that. And I look at this and it looks kind of intimidating because I don't know when the race is.
Yeah, I was reading something the other day. Canada right now is leading with all the registrations right now with like 58 people signed up for their club. And the rest of the clubs are way subpar below that.
All right, what about the rest of you?
I don't know. I guess I'm like some of the others. It's really the first I had heard about it, so I guess check into it and see.
I plan on running it. Go New York.
You got to register,
Yep.
which is in the past, I don't remember having to do that. I think you could just go to the hosted page and it would be there and you could join.
When does this start? Is there a clear date as to when everything should be done by so everybody knows?
Well, it says a span of October 21st through November 13th.
It's basically split up over 3 weekends, 3 Saturdays. It's like 3 weeks.
Right, over the weekends, yeah. So, yeah, if it doesn't conflict with NIS, I might be interested. I'll have to look at it.
No, because it goes off, like, it's listed on my end, because I'm looking at through our New York club, so it'd be Eastern times, but the oval races for the first Saturday, October 29th, for the qualifier, for the oval NASCAR Gen 6 at Charlotte Motor Speedway is 4 a.m., 2 p.m., and 7 p.m. That wouldn't conflict with any NIS races. And then the road races is the Corvette C6 at Watkins Glen, and those go off at 6 a.m., 4 p.m., and I can't read the other time. I mean, yeah, the 6 a.m. will conflict with the 6 a.m. Saturday race, but I mean, you still got 2 other opportunities to run it.
Yep. All right.
And it's always on Saturdays.
All right, so check that out. Brad, what's next?
Well, it looks like iRacing has took their Sim Racing Expo to Nürburgring. It says they can't wait to talk and meet with our members. Come by and check out our booth this weekend. They've also got a thing here that says RaceBot will be broadcasting the ADAC Sim Racing Trophy Tournament live at the Sim Racing Expo. Features some of iRacing top drivers in the world, including Martin Kroenke of Canada Sim Sport. Other teams represented include Pure Racing Team, Apex Racing UK, Core Motorsports, and Team Redline. It says be sure to tune in. Winner will receive 1,000, I guess it's euro, plus a 35-inch screen from BenQ. So
3 35-inch screens.
3. I misread that. 3
Triples.
35s. So that's kind of cool. And I looked at the thing on their Facebook page, and it's pretty cool how they got it set up.
Yeah, they got like 4 different rigs, it looks like, set up, and quite a crowd, you know, and people actually racing. Looks like fun.
Yeah.
And obviously all those road racers are over there and trying to win those nice screens and stuff. Pretty cool. All right, next story is we had Taylor Burris on last week to promote his league called RTFT, and they actually start tonight, I believe, their first event. Anyway, one of their claims to fame in their league was Ray Black Jr., who is a driver in the a rookie driver in the Xfinity NASCAR series, running full time over there. He actually ran this last weekend in a truck race, and he put the RTFT All-Star Racing League on the hood of the truck. And I got a picture of it from Taylor, and looks pretty darn cool. And it was pretty neat to see an actual iRacing league on an actual NASCAR truck, you know, as a full sponsor. Pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
So we've seen iRacing sponsored cars, but this is the first time I've seen a league actually sponsor a real race car.
That is pretty awesome, man. We have I know a guy, he paints cars, and the team goes to him, you know, with different designs and says, here, can you work with this? And he comes up with schemes that eventually go on to the race car. So that's pretty cool. But to have a league on a real race car out of there on TV, that's an accomplishment.
Absolutely. And coming from one league owner to another there. So good job, Taylor Burris, for getting that going. I hope your thing goes good tonight. All right, moving on. Kyle.
Next up, we'll talk about the patch that went through today. iRacing went down today for Season 4 Patch 2 release. In this patch, they fixed some of the bugs as far as the simulator, with the power saving and screen savers are now turned off on the sim launches. They had a bug where if you join the practice server when you sign up for a race, that if you would hit the race button, it wouldn't transfer it over. So they fixed that. The windshield reflections at night tracks. Fixed some of the invisible cars be present in large fields at Le Mans.
The lollipop guy was in the middle of the box. Yeah.
Yep, they fixed the lollipop guy that was just standing there with his arms out.
Which I was affected by that one, so.
As well as they updated some of the setups for some of the cars as well.
I wanted to point out something too. Since this new release, Season 4, have not once, knock on wood, had error on network device. And you know what? I've had that since the last September build. So for 12 months straight, I had that error every time I raced. But now they fixed it. They fixed it. Thank God they fixed it. And somehow that last build fixed my problem. And I don't have any disconnection problems anymore like that.
Yep. Yeah. And also with the patch today, they released a new car. The Nissan ZXT 1989 GTP car. And they're going to race that with the Audi 90.
So this series is already in place. I heard it was kind of hard to find, but if you can find it, I think you go to the car and then look for series from there. But Carlos, I got the impression you bought this car this morning.
Oh, I got the car. The series is already up there. You just gotta look. It's just on the regular series selection.
Okay.
I don't know
So
how to
what do you
say
think?
it. It just spelled Kamel, so I'll call it a camel. Some series of some sort, but the car itself, pretty fun. Actually, I have a review on that on my YouTube, so I guess check that out for people who know what I'm talking about.
All right. And do you think these cars are adequate to race against each other?
No, they don't. They're completely different classes. It's like you're racing just the prototypes versus a GT. That's exactly what it is.
So let me get this straight. So when they run this series, the one car is going to always win over the other one because it's faster?
Well, they're not racing against each other. Different
Yeah,
classes.
it's a multi-class
Oh, I see.
type deal.
Multi-class race. I get it.
Yep.
Yep.
Like I said, prototypes and GTs. That's similar.
Okay. So it looked like a pretty cool car from the pictures I saw.
It is.
Now,
It's
they
fast.
kind of changed how they were going to release this. Last Tuesday, they indicated, we're going to have another release in 7 days. Watch the video at 1 p.m. Eastern. And then they, a few days later decided, we'll just sneak it out with the regular release on Monday. Do you guys think that was because some of the noise that some of the noisemakers were making on the forum about, we were hoping for something better?
I think
No,
it was 100% that, honestly. All the grief
No.
they caught.
No, I read something about this on the forums, and I believe it was from one of the guys at iRacing. One of the problems that they had is when they put that video out for the Audi, their site got absolutely flooded. So the idea behind it was putting it out kind of behind the scenes. Not everybody was going to flood the site all at once to get this car, so it kind of came out silently, and people found out when they found out. So there's still could be people that don't even know it's out yet. I'm sure a majority of them do, but they are still going to do the 1 o'clock presentation tomorrow for this car, but the car is out now. You can drive it.
So they're going to have another nice documentary video probably.
Yes, probably something similar to that, but the main reason why they put it out today in such a silent matter is because it was going to be easier on their servers to do it this way instead of it being everybody coming all at once to do it like they did the Audi 90. And I guess it raised a couple issues with their servers, so that's why they opted to do it this way.
Yep.
Yeah, I've already got that car. It's a little beast.
Nice. Okay, let's move on. Brad, what's next?
Sad news. Jeff Dukehart, he's an iRacer, passed away. He's 51 years old from Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know that I raced against him, but I guess he's been on iRacing probably 4 or 5 years, so I guess I probably did at some point.
8 years, actually. Just looking at his stats page.
Okay.
He's been around a long time. iRating is 3958. And his last race was September 12th at Chicagoland, and he finished 17th. So this was unexpected, I believe, and a lot of people in the on Facebook were mentioning it, and a lot of, I know Anthony, you mentioned a comment, on that as well. And there was a few other posts that I saw, regarding it. So we just wanted to take a moment and mention Jeff Dukehart, and he was a former member of Gale Force Sim Racing. And Gale Force Sim Racing actually put out a post about it, and he'll be missed. Apparently, he ran the Class B series apparently a lot, and if you ran Class B and you were in top split, you probably ran into this guy.
Yeah, I didn't know him personally, but anytime you lose somebody in the iRacing community, you know, it's like family. It's never a good thing, and I'm sure he'll be missed by a lot of guys.
Yep, and so that brings us to the next one. Unfortunately, we have a couple of people that have lost their lives that have been iRacers. Tom Johnson posted up this last week that his son passed away August 20th in a brutal, senseless murder. And he had been a member here at iRacing on and off. Tom goes on to say, I ended up having a small stroke the day after his funeral, so now I have no movement in my left leg and left arm. I will be back. So sorry, Tom, for your loss, and we hope you can heal up and join us again, and we're sorry for your son.
Yep, and the bad news really just keeps on coming. An 18-year-old reigning Australian Formula 3 national champion, Luke Spalding, lost his 4-year battle with cancer. That's super sad.
Yeah, especially he
Be
was
that
young. Yeah, and I looked up his stats as well, Luke, and interestingly, his last race was September 1st, and it was at Mazda Raceway and in the MX-5 Cup, and he won it. So he won his very last race.
He pulled a pole one.
He won the pole and won. Yeah, how about that? And he has a winning percentage of 7% on road overall on his career. So, yeah, lots of like Anthony said, we are a community. You know, I don't know these guys personally, but we want to mention them and say prayers to the families and at least show some respect. Okay, so I got the next story. What the heck is this one? Oh yeah, so one of these guys that has an older system, so to speak, tried to switch over to DX11. It didn't work, and he posted up in the monitor, you know, what he had, you know, in the forums, and his monitor only has a resolution of 1768 by 992 in 30 hertz, and it's like an old plasma TV or something, and it won't work with DX11. So I just wanted to throw out, you know, Kyle and I have been hammering on the podcast lately, you know, get your computers upgraded, but guess what? Sometimes your monitors aren't good enough either. And we just found a case of that. So you might need to upgrade your monitor too.
Yeah, I've been having problems, and I don't know exactly what it is. It's something to do with although my screens are all the same size, it's wanting to make it look like my center screen is like 10 inches taller than the other two. I hope that I can just fix it and not have to go buy new screens.
Well, all three screens are the same size. They're the same screen, right?
They are.
We should be able to fix that. I can help you.
10-4.
Technology can be tricky sometimes.
Yeah. Kyle, what's up next? All right, we lost Kyle.
I'm back. I'm here.
Oh, okay.
Next topic with the mirrors in VR not right. They say there's a fix coming. Sean Nash put out a forum post saying that there's the fix for it is in production and it'll be coming out in the next patch. Which did that come out today?
Yeah, that came out today. It's a little bit old note, but what happened is the FOV is apparently all wrong on the mirrors if you're running VR, and so that makes the mirrors kind of useless. So these guys have been trying to get it fixed.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed with the car that was released today. I bought it and took like 3 laps at Daytona, but your right side mirror is right in your A post. I can't even see the doggone thing. So I don't know how to fix that.
Well, there might be something up with, like you said, with the center looks bigger or something. There might be something up with that. We'll have to take a look at your setup. I'll pick up the next one here. For those wondering, where is the Blank Pain Endurance Series? We've shortened it to 6 weeks so that it can act as the qualifying series for the 2017 Blank Pain GT Series. It starts the weekend of November 12th at Monza. So, Jose, Carlos, are you guys going to run that, or?
Yeah, I don't know. Not sure about that one yet.
Yeah, you got to be really, really good to be getting to the qualifying for that series, and that is a money series. So.
Yeah, competition there is really fierce.
Exactly.
Yeah, we remember last year.
Yeah, we didn't make it very far, did we? Brad, what's next?
The highlights from Ty Majeski running in the ARCA series at Chicago Speedway. He finished 8th, and I actually watched this race. He got the car probably about as sideways as you will ever get it, and didn't crash. He was trying to pull a block move on a guy, and the guy had his nose in there. He wasn't backing off. 2 cars going for the same spot. He ended up going completely sideways and ended up saving it, not crashing into anyone else, and walked away with an 8th. I thought it was a heck of a job there. Tyler Hudson praised the save also.
Oh, you should mention one thing, that the car he was driving was the old body style from like 2007, meaning there's no side force on that thing.
Yeah, and it was I guess they went from sheet metal to a composite body, and his was the
Steel.
old sheet. Yeah, steel. So he was already at a disadvantage, I guess. I don't know how they compensated in that series. I'm not too up on that series.
I don't understand. They run what looks like today's Gen 6, and they run what looks like the old Gen 5 cars, or 4, whatever the hell those bodies were.
Yeah, just ride what you brung.
Yeah, it definitely puts a whole new meaning to get up on the wheel.
Yeah, it was a great save. Tyler Hudson actually posted in the forums some pretty high praise on Ty Majeski in those saves, but I thought that was interesting as well. There's one other topic that's further down the list, but I'm going to bring it up now. Ty actually won another race yesterday, and in this time it was at Elko, and he qualified P4, got to P7 finish, which got him to the second feature where they started P3, and easy finish in P1. So that was the Wheeling Points, National Wheeling Points Championship. He's hoping to finish second place in the points, but he has iRacing on the hood.
Yep.
Okay, so the next topic up was Stephen Myers from iRacing, who's in charge of a lot of things over there. He actually met up apparently with the Texas club of iRacing. They had some kind of meetup, and he apparently met them and gave them all his secrets, he said on Twitter. So I want you guys, from anybody in here from Texas, who's going to fess up?
Do you think he did that at that little thing that they have every year somewhere in Texas?
No, that was a few months ago. This is a different thing.
Oh, okay.
This was at the Dakota race, Circuit of the Americas. IMSA, I think, was there. So anyway,
I don't think he spilled the beans on anything very important.
Yeah, he's probably just saying that to make us all jealous.
Yeah.
And we've talked about club meetups on a previous podcast. We've tried that out here in the West, and me and the one guy met up at the racetrack, and that was it. And so it doesn't ever work out for us. Looks like they had a pretty good group. They did post some pictures on Twitter. Looks like there's at least 6 of them. So good turnout. Okay, Kyle, you're up next.
Next, Steve Myers put out a Twitter post about how Renault gave them the things they need to collect data for the Renault car.
Yeah, he's talking about the 3.5 car, which Renault is going to, they've signed to do, but apparently he only has the CAD data. He doesn't have everything he needs. He needs photographs. He needs the sound recordings. He needs data. He only has the drawings. So that's why that car has been delayed. So it's just an update basically on that particular car. He kind of let that slip on Twitter. Is that a car you're waiting for, Carlos? Is that
Nope.
something you're interested in?
Not my kind of thing.
Yeah, it's an open wheel thing, I guess.
I like the 2.0, but I don't know about the other one.
Right. The other interesting thing about this story was there was a forum post. This led to a forum post, and a guy named Diederik Kynes from the Benelux Club indicates, I was race engineer on car number 10 last year in the Renault 3.5 series. At no point did anybody from iRacing approach the teams, or at least I didn't hear about it, but I'm sure we would have been quite happy to cooperate. So basically, he goes on to say, I'll get you in touch with the right people. And so I think iRacing's talking to Renault, but they're not getting them in touch with the teams. So this guy's going to try to hook up Steve Myers directly with one of the teams. And so that's kind of what I was reading.
Hey, I like that idea. I encourage, anybody that, has good relationships with different teams or different cars that, reach out to iRacing and say, hey, I've got these connections if it's something you're interested in.
Yep. Okay, Brad, what's next?
The Dynamic Track 2.0. I think the concern is it is far worse than the last build. The 1.0 actually opened up lines of a lot of tracks, whereas the 2.0 has taken all that away. I don't know.
I thought it was okay.
I don't see the problem. I kind of think we kind of hashed this one out talking about Charlotte. I mean, Chicago.
Yeah, that was actually a quote from Tyler Hudson about the 2.0 track surface, and it seems like he thought maybe we made it worse. But I think like we talked about before, I think a consensus was it was better.
Well, as far as the rubber side of things, I mean, you're getting a line, you're getting rubber laid down better and more effectively than it was previously. And I'm also noticing the marbles, and not only the marbles that are up out of the racing groove, but the actual marbles that get picked up from the car in front of you and flung at your windshield while you're going through a long green flag race run. It is pretty cool. I mean, even when you're pacing and you get the marbles on your tires and they're getting thrown up into your wheel wells and you hear them go ting ting ting. I mean, even if this isn't the end all be all, I feel that they're going in the right direction, and that direction is just beginning to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Kudos to them, because I remember the other night there I was racing and we went under caution after we had a green flag run, green pit stops, and finally went under caution. And before I could get to the pits, it sounded like somebody was popping popcorn up underneath my fender wells. It was neat, cool, a little more realistic, and kudos to iRacing on that.
Yeah, the first night at Chicago, it was a little bit extreme. I think there was some sort of glitch with the audio, and it just sounded like forever stuff was getting thrown up into your wheel wells to the point of distraction.
It's a little loud.
But it changed, right?
Yeah, it seems to have changed since the first day after the patch.
Yeah, I remember Brad commenting about how loud that was.
Yeah, but I don't know that it's actually true. I've never driven a race car on asphalt, but I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay, Kyle, final topic.
Final topic was a forum post regarding left foot braking, and who doesn't,
I
and
do.
who does and doesn't do it.
Yeah, just taking an informal poll here. Who does it? I do.
I personally left foot brake. I was a right foot braker until Dave Smith made me use the left foot and found out that I'm much faster.
Yeah, I've been a left foot breaker since I first started. First got a set of pedals that was capable of doing it.
Yeah, I do it, and there's times that I'm on both pedals at the same time.
Yeah. And that's what I was arguing. I participated in this forum post, and my point of view was there's certain tracks you need to be on the gas and the brake pedal at the same time in part of the lap. And I think Chicago was a perfect example. Getting in, I was on brake and throttle getting in into 1 and 3.
Not always that, but if you're racing at Talladega or Daytona, you can have the right foot full on the throttle. You might have to drag a little bit of brake with your left foot.
Right.
Yeah, at those super speedways, unless there's a yellow flag, you never lift. You keep your your right foot planted. Drag your brake. It's easier to drag off a little bit of momentum with your brake than it is doing it with the gas pedal. You take throttle out of the car, and then it takes more to get that rolling speed back up in it than just dragging the brake.
Yeah, you can
But
keep your RPMs up, right?
yes, exactly. You're less apt to lose a bunch of momentum just dragging your brake. I have, ever since I started racing, and keep in mind, when I first started racing, I was a console racer. I didn't start in, like a lot of these guys started in NASCAR Racing 2003. That's not where I got my start. My sim racing career started on iRacing, but before that, I was doing console racing, and I always left brake on the console side of things. I've always done it, and it's easier for me because I can just ease on the brake and then get my foot right off of it, and my throttle pedal is already going down. You're not losing any time in between a quote-unquote transition phase between getting off the brake and getting on the throttle. Now, I will say this, that there are times where that certain scenario of left foot braking can hurt you. Short tracks, I think, stand out more than anything, where you'd want to roll the center of the corner, like Martinsville. You got to roll the center of the corner. Now, transitioning back and forth with a right foot gas and brake, that might give you more apt opportunity to roll the center of the corner better than just getting back on the throttle with your right foot when you're left foot braking. But 9 times out of 10, I think it's a preference thing more than anything. I'm sure there's guys that are out there that are just as competitive as the next guy, and they're right foot braking. But I can say this, it's probably more common that you're going to have a left foot breaker than not.
A couple of things. I was kind of surprised at how many people didn't know that this was a thing. That, there were a lot of people in the forums were like, what, left foot braking? Are you serious? And that kind of surprised me. The other thing is why do when I walk out to my real car, I don't do left foot braking. When I drive a real car, I do right foot braking. So, and it's just a natural thing. I don't even think about it. So, but when I sit down at the sim, I don't think about it either. It's automatically left foot. So I don't know how to tie those two together.
Yeah, I tried it one time. Don't do it.
Yeah.
See, I am different. I don't have my driver's license for certain reasons I won't get into, but there's been times where I've had to drive the car where I've had to move it test the brakes, what have you. Anytime I've ever been in a real car, I've always left foot brake. That
I think you're the exception. I think Brad
it
is.
has followed me over. Now, I don't drive on a daily basis, so I don't know if that would truly be the case. But anytime I've ever driven a car for any reason, I've always left foot brake. It's just something that follows me, I guess.
Yep.
Well, racing brakes and braking in racing conditions is a whole lot different than braking in road conditions.
Yeah.
And you tend to be on the brake a lot harder. I have racing pads on my street car because I do take it to the track, and it's different. It's definitely different when you get that heavy, thick, anti-boiling, high temp brake fluid and those big, thick ceramic brake pads on there. It's a whole different animal.
You got to step on that thing, right?
You really do. As soon as you take out that street fluid and put that high temp stuff in there, it's immediately you notice the difference.
Yeah, on my Camaro, I've got Brembo racing brakes, 4 pistons, and I tried it one time just goofing off, and I about tried to see how much of me I could stick between the steering wheel and the windshield.
Whoops.
Yeah, I said it's a disaster. Don't do it.
Okay, so let's get into final thoughts. Brad Miller, you're first.
Let's go to New Hampshire. I'm ready to get out of Chicago.
Yep. I'm with you. Carlos, what do you got?
The usual. Nothing.
Except for your YouTube channel, you've been real busy reviewing cars.
Oh, God, I've been busy.
So check out Chewy Side.
I'm like 3 weeks behind on stuff.
You got to plug that YouTube channel like a cheap hooker, man. Get after it.
You know, I'm not
what is that
100%
channel
sure
name?
what the URL is.
If you go to YouTube, search Chewy Side
55.
55. There you go. Jose Pabon, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Final thoughts.
I'm sorry.
You have any final thoughts?
No, nothing at all.
Okay, Kyle.
Well, unlike the rest of you, I would love to have a couple more tracks at that open racing in Chicago there with that setup. Had a blast there this week, but looking forward to New Hampshire.
All right. And Lance.
Well, this week I'll be getting my hands on an HTC Vive, so make sure I'm going to be doing a full workup on it. I'm going to review it to the best of my ability. So if you're interested in VR in any way, make sure you tune in next week, and I'll be talking about it as extensively as Captain Mike will permit.
Yeah, I was thinking we would, slot out 10 or 15 minutes to do that. So yeah, look forward to that. That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at the field of view and looking around in the interior of the car and how much different it is than having a triple screen setup like I already have, and giving my opinion on what is better.
Right.
If you can find a way to record footage, send it over so I can put it on the stream.
Now I'll see what I can do.
All right.
Yeah, you should be able to capture that. I don't know, but okay. Dave Smith.
Well, I'm not really looking forward to going to New Hampshire. It's probably my worst track. But for those of you that enjoyed my setup this week, stay tuned. I'll give you a little teaser. I'm working on a New Hampshire setup. I've been actively working on that, and you're going to be surprised, based off my Chicagoland setup with minor changes. And it feels amazing. So look forward to getting that out to you guys here within the next day, and I can get your guys' opinions on it. But I'm not really looking forward to it, but I'm doing my best to bring us a great setup nonetheless.
Well, that was like me using the Pocono at Bristol.
Yeah, well, I loaded it up and made a couple changes, and it feels phenomenal. I mean, I am getting off the corners better than I ever have at New Hampshire. So maybe that'll change my opinion on New Hampshire.
We'll have to see how you run, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that brings me to my final thought. And right along those lines, if you want to run Dave's setup, you have to be part of Team Tifosi. Over here at Tifosi Racing, we are actually recruiting drivers, and I want to mention this on air. This podcast is actually completely produced by Tifosi Racing. Everybody on this podcast right now is part of the team of Tifosi Racing. So if you want to join us and you think you'd fit in with our group, and you run the NASCAR iRacing series, and you think you'd be a good fit, let us know. Hit up one of us and talk to us, and we'll see if it works out. But we are picky as heck, but I just wanted to throw out, we are recruiting. So that's my final thought. And with that, we'll see you next time. See ya.
Take care.
See ya.
Good evening.
Thank you for listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast. Make sure to go subscribe to us at our YouTube channel at iRacers Lounge. Follow on Twitter and Facebook at iRacers Lounge and SoundCloud at iRacers Lounge. See you on the track.